So we threw a last minute discussion in here because we started talking about it before we went on the air, and I was fascinated because I honestly wasn't following this, and that is Kentucky, the Republican primary, Ed Gallrein against Thomas Massie, and on the betting circuit, how much Gallrein, if I'm saying that right, if not, please correct me,
I think it's Gallrein.
Gallrein is beating
so.
Beating the stuffings out of Massie, which is very disappointing to me because Massie's basically a libertarian who runs as a Republican, because if he ran as a libertarian, he wouldn't get the funds to actually ever win a race. So he runs as the Republican. Personal opinion right there. So Gallrein is at 63% on Polymarket, which you may have heard because it's in the news a lot because of war betting that's going on, and people are using Polymarket to war bet these days. But it's the biggest betting site in at least the U.S. And they have Ed Gallrein in the Republican primary. At 63% of the people who are betting on it are betting on him to win. And even in polls, it seems that Gallrein is winning. So what's the deal here, Mike? We'll throw this one to you. What's going on here with Massie not being able to, make what seemingly is Massie's going to lose? What's the deal?
Well, it's interesting and it's tricky. There's approximately $32 million has been spent on this race so far. This is the most expensive congressional race in history at this point. So that's been drawing in a lot of attention. Massie isn't a Republican. He's kind of like Bernie Sanders. He would technically be an independent in the Republican Party. He's actually a libertarian in the Republican Party, just like Bernie Sanders is a communist in the Democratic Party, because if he was just honest, he would never actually get elected. So similar thing for Thomas Massie. He's not a bad guy. Now, this story hasn't gotten a lot of attention nationally because most Republicans don't care. If Gallrein wins, fantastic. He's a Republican, good for the party. If he loses and Massie wins, he's a Republican. They don't care. Republicans win no matter what. We either have a lukewarm, somewhat of a rhino Republican in Massie, or we get a MAGA Republican in the form of Gallrein. But I think it's interesting because this is a strength. This is a show of will. That's what this is really about. It's the will of the nation in a microcosm of Donald Trump's policies as they're understood by the average person, which is very different than how I and other pundits may interpret it. It's different than how economists may project it or other nations may project it. It's how are people in the heartland of America and across America, how are they reacting to the policies of Donald Trump? If we see Massie win, that probably means, and a lot of people are interpreting it as, well, that means that Democrats will win the House and they will try to end everything that Donald Trump has been trying to do. And he'll become a lame duck president and he won't be able to get anything further done. If Gallrein wins, then there's strength not only within MAGA, but within the entire nation in general, that there's still momentum to the mandate that was given to Donald Trump back in 2024. And therefore, he's going to continue trying to make the changes that he promised to make on the campaign trail that he has been working on, and many of the things he's completed. So I think that's what the battle really is. It's a little bit obscured because there was a accusation last week that came out of the blue accusing Thomas Massie of a sexual assault, which there's no evidence of. If you've actually heard the woman who's making the accusation, if you've actually heard her video, her actual, she calls it a deposition. It's not. It's just an online video. Has no legal ramification behind it.
Right. That's
right.
Very dicey to call it, very dicey to call it a deposition. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's not a deposition. Just because she's talking to a lawyer doesn't make it a deposition. Doesn't make it legal or binding. But what she did in that entire speech, which I did listen to, she never accused Thomas Massie of doing anything wrong, or I think the closest she got to saying he did anything that could be considered negative was he asked her to do something that she said no. That was it. No consequence to her. They wound up breaking up.
That happened to me.
It's crazy, but this is negatively impacting the race unfairly. I would say that's unfair because at the last minute, there's nothing to it. It's not being clearly reported by a lot of the news media for a bunch of reasons. So it's confusing. It's a confusing race. But if I had to bet, and I'll let you jump in, Joe, sorry. But if I had to bet on this, I would say probably Massie wins by like 2 points.
All right. Going against the odds there.
I'm not firm on it, but that's where I would have to stand right now, just because he's been there so damn long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stunned that it's even that close. I really, honestly, wasn't paying attention to it, and I am stunned that the public is betting the way they are. And the Hill article is not their poll; they have a poll. And Joe, I'm going to throw it to you in a second. But the Hill is citing a Qantas Insights poll that was done late last week, so this is pretty relevant as far as timely. 48.3% of the people in the Qantas Insights poll are going to vote for Gallrein. 43.1 said Massie. So that's outside the margin of error. Usually your margin of error is 3 to 4%. So that's pretty big. I'm really surprised. I guess the Trump backing is going to work here. I don't know. And this is the thing I want to ask you, Joe, to start out, and then go with it from there. Is the fact that Massie is the only congressperson to not have a lobbyist from Israel, so he stands out independent from Israel, hurting him given what's going on in the world right now?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know how much AIPAC, which would be that big PAC special interest money that everyone is talking about now, either pro-Israel or against Israel. He doesn't receive any money from them.
Right.
I don't know how much that actually impacts voters, how they vote. I'm not a big believer in these polls, but that is a lot of money being spent on this race. And when I ran for Congress, my opponent raised like $2.5 million. I thought that was astronomical. This is 10 times that amount.
Wow. To be clear, IPAC last week added on, I'm not familiar with the full amount, but just last week, IPAC increased their spending against Massie by $3 million.
I'm not surprised at all. I love Massie. Even the Hill article has him as a libertarian. But Joe, what do you think the issue is here outside of IPAC? What do you think the issue for Massie is? I mean, like Mike said, long standing.
He's been in there 12 years, and I'm someone who doesn't believe the polls here. I think Massie wins by 10 points. 10. I think this is almost. He has been in there a while. The people in his district know him. I don't know if it's been redrawn. The districts there recently, I honestly don't know. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But all that aside, I just have to believe that Massie is going to win by like landslide numbers. And by the way, if he doesn't, and I'm speaking from my libertarian bubble here, my small L libertarian bubble here. But if Massie loses to a MAGA, this is essentially what the other guy is. It's a MAGA Trump Republican.
Oh yeah, Trump picked him. So
right, exactly. So this is libertarian versus Trump right here. So if the Trump guy wins and Massie loses, to me this is like the groundhog seeing its shadow. We got 6 more years of MAGA, to go here. So that's bad news for libertarians, honestly. Maybe I'm having a bias here, but a wishful thinking, I don't know. But I am hoping, and I actually believe this. I think Massie wins by 10 points.
No. All right. So what if he loses? What if there's a silver lining and he loses it and he just dives right into the Libertarian Party runs for president of the Libertarian Party or chair or something.
I'll say this. Massie, I believe, and again, this is just my own personal observations of him. He's a libertarian running in the Republican Party, and he's done that for over a decade. He has zero interest in a third party or independent run, period. So if he loses after 12 plus years in office, then that probably tells him maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm done, and he just goes away. I think his career is over at that point. But if he wants to just be stick a thorn in the side of Trump for whatever reason, although if he runs for president in 2028, he's not running against Trump. He's going to be gone. So I don't know why he would do that. I would welcome him. I wouldn't be against that. I just don't see him doing that. If he loses, I think he's done.
Well, if he wants to have a life as a god alongside the mega deity that is Ron Paul, then yeah, he could run for president or join, be the president of he wouldn't be the president of the Libertarian Party. He wouldn't be effective like that. He'd have to be a candidate. He'd have to run for president. And he would get, because libertarians bowed down to Massie and Rand Paul and Ron Paul, and they'd love it, and they'd be all really excited, and no one else will care. No one else will care. And he'll go into and he'll be able to get ballot access for 48 of the states, maybe 47, and he'll lose. But libertarians will love him forever, and he'll have a great career being libertarian Jesus that doesn't actually win.
Well,
and I'm not saying that to be mean. That's just realistic.
No, then it's certainly not going to win. But if they can improve on the 500,000 that Chase Olive got, which was absolutely disgraceful. Although I love Chase and would have him on the show.
Well, that's because I've met Chase several times.
Yeah, met him once.
Nice enough of a guy. I've interviewed him. I got nothing. Excuse me, nothing against Chase. Yeah, Chase had a horrible platform. He was far too radical, even for libertarians. He was always going to lose. He was going for the virtue signal. He failed. He lost. He's out. Massie isn't Chase. Massie could get some extra votes for libertarians. That's true. Nowhere near enough to win. Nowhere near enough to get 50 state ballot access. He will just be a very, very big fish in that very, very small pond. And if he wants that, fantastic. I don't think he does that because he recognizes he'd be a really big fish in a really small pond, and he won't net get anything effective done. I think he steps out of politics.
So, Joe, if Massie loses his primary, first of all, I wrote this down just to remember, both of you guys are going against what seems to be the public opinion on the betting and also with the polls. And you're both saying Massie is going to win. So this will be fascinating. And for people who don't know, this is tomorrow, which is why we started talking about it before we went on the air. The primary is tomorrow. So these numbers are pretty gosh darn fresh. The betting line updates like every second. So these numbers and this at any rate.
Qantas is a horrible polling. By the way, Qantas is not credible. I don't believe they're credible.
I was Googling while we were talking, and that one came up. I was trying to find Real Clear, and I couldn't find it.
No, they don't have it.
And
there's not a lot of credible polling in this race.
Yeah,
because it's too small.
538 didn't have anything.
Nobody does. Really nobody credible. None of the big credible names have covered this because it's just such a small race, and it's also a bit of a surprise. So no one's really been covering it.
No, maybe we should cover it. Think about it. This is a Republican primary. This is who cares? This is pretty small. I'm not surprised that people aren't covering this. I'm not surprised that it is a surprise that it is so close because Massie is a long time incumbent here. This is he's running for its seventh term. So this is a race that should not even be on anyone's radar. It should be really? After it's done, oh, I didn't know he had a primary, and he won by 15 points. It should be one of those things. But
I'm surprised that that's the feeling because to me, Massie, and because he teamed up with Ro Khanna and is trying to get the Epstein files really released, unredacted. for the most part, and he stands alone all the time. I thought Massie was huge, and like everybody knew who he was. Maybe I'm in my own bubble, like you said, Joe. You're in a libertarian bubble, because to me, Massie's like one of the biggest people in Congress.
No.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, that average people have no clue. They kind of hear his name every so often, think he's an oddball, and don't really pay attention to him.
There you go.
But that's the masses. For us, it increases in importance the more you pay attention to politics. But Joe Average walking down the street, they have no clue whatsoever.
Amazing. All right. Well, I'm fascinated by it. Let's see what happens, and we'll pick up that conversation the next time we're all together, for sure.